PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTV, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock Restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today. Stars, Stripes, and Stacks high hands in July at PBKC. Now every 15 minutes, 9 a.m. to midnight. $15,000 cash giveaway on July 26th. Also, this month, our July Progressive High Hand Weekends with a $100,000 bonus giveaway. Win extra cash for qualifying hands. Miss it today, win more tomorrow. Visit the Poker Room for complete rules. Welcome to PBKC for PBKC Picks. We're broadcasting live from the second floor poker room here in West Palm Beach, Florida, conveniently located right across the street from the Palm Beach International Airport. So if you ever make a trip here to PBKC, want to come play poker, or check us out right across the street from an international airport right here in West Palm Beach, Florida. My name is Mike Jameson. Noah is not on the show this week.
Yeah, I just promoted the show and like, we're here. Where's Noah? And then show up again.
Well, he decided that because it was such a great American holiday that he was going to go to Canada. So that's where he was last week.
How does that make any sense? No, come on.
Knowing him, though, like he's in Vancouver telling everybody how great America is. So like,
and his bets are.
You just know.
Here's the thing, though. For all the crap we talk about Noah and all that, but he's winning, dude. He's been correct.
That's the problem.
I can't. This is the worst part for me. Is like I have to now take this all in while he's correct.
Yeah,
it's better when he's wrong.
We're talking about him, and he's not even here, and that's what he's doing to us.
He takes all the oxygen even when he's not here. It's great.
Exactly. I'm Mike Jameson. This is Ernest Christian from the Earnestly Speaking podcast. He's been a poker dealer for well over 20 years here at PBKC, and why don't we talk a little bit about poker because we got a lot of stuff going on, including July High Hands. That's going on right now. High Hands every 15 minutes. The $15,000 cash giveaway is coming up July 26th, and don't forget about those Progressive High Hand Weekends with the $100,000 giveaway. Also in the poker room coming up this week is that $100,000 multi-flight. The multi-flight is coming up this week, and that starts tomorrow through Sunday. It's a $100,000 guaranteed, $300 buy-in, $100,000 guaranteed, $40,000 starting stack, 30-minute blinds. You really can't beat it. I know everybody's excited. This is the first multi-flight because of the fact that we had, Moneymaker Tour here and other things. It's the first multi-flight we've had since April. So I know our poker players and our daily players are chomping at the bit to play this multi-flight, which is honestly one of the most popular tournaments in all of South Florida. So I expect a big turnout. Again, that starts tomorrow. We have another satellite tonight, the last one to get in there for only $85. And then tomorrow starts the first flight for a $300 buy-in. So I'm sure Ernest is going to be doing some live broadcasting and live streaming for some of these feature tables. But you do not want to miss the Monster Multi-Flight.
Very popular here. Oh, the multis are amazing.
One of the most popular tournaments in all of South Florida.
They crush the guarantee every time.
They do, every single time, and I expect nothing less this time. Now we're going to move on. We're actually later on in the show going to have a special guest. Not a special guest. He's, always on the show. Pat Rooney's going to check in with us. So what we're going to do right now before he checks in is start talking about the NBA. Let's talk about some basketball.
Yes,
we're not going to have a lot to talk about with the NBA in the upcoming weeks because right now, obviously, the season's over. It's a really hot time with free agency.
I think this week might probably be the last, unless it's a massive Giannis rumor, he's asked out in Milwaukee. I don't expect anything of note NBA wise from now until probably September, October.
Yeah. So one of the first things we're going to talk about, there's a 7-team trade in the NBA. That's the biggest trade in the history of the NBA, and that was sending guys all over the place. I mean, I think a lot of the players were actually surprised by this. So Phoenix is getting Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Kaman Malawak, Rasheer Fleming, Kobe Bray, Daquan Plowden, and a second. Houston's getting Kevin Durant, Clint Capella, Brooklyn's getting 2 second-round draft picks. Golden State's getting Alex Tuhey and Jemai Mashak. Atlanta's getting a second-round swap at David Roddy in cash. Los Angeles is getting Adu Thiero, and Minnesota's getting Rocco Zikarsky and 2 seconds and cash.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand all of this going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the highlight of this whole trade is really the Kevin Durant move, and Clint Capella too, also who's returning to Houston after a couple of years away from them. Like all these are really just pick swaps. These are all just making the money work more than anything else. Especially now in the era I keep mentioning of the second apron, teams are trying to stay under that number if they don't feel like their team's good enough to compete. So obviously you look at Phoenix gets something back. They got the number 10 pick in the draft this year. They get Dylan Brooks as a solid player, Jalen Green, who's a young player who I'm not really big on, but they get something back for KD. I mean, they're still not gonna be a playoff team next year. I mean, they're looking to move Bradley Beal any day now.
Yeah.
Once they agree to a buyout, of course, because he has that no trade clause still in his contract. Of course, the highlight here is Houston, and where do they measure up? Like the Western Conference to me is really a 3-team race, maybe even 4. You have obviously OKC is the favorite. The defending champions. They just breaking news like an hour ago. They just re-signed Chet Holmgren, or extended Chet Holmgren's contract. I expect them to do the same with Jalen Williams on the road too as well, along with SGA, who got his extension 2 weeks ago. We mentioned on the show also too. Houston right now is that team that's probably the next team in line. Although I got to tell you, Denver, the Nuggets, we mentioned the show last week. They got rid of Michael Porter Jr., who had a horrible playoffs. They traded him for Cam Johnson from Brooklyn. Cam Johnson's a good player. He's the guy he's easy points, and Denver needs that really at this point. So I would say your pecking order right now in my opinion, going into next season now in the Western Conference is definitely OKC 1, Houston number 2, and then Denver with a very close 3. Yeah. So very interesting situation there.
Well, one of the teams that I would actually put at number 4, just because I've been hyping it up as an early bet for next season, is the Los Angeles Lakers. They just actually signed DeAndre Ayton. He has agreed to sign with the Lakers. Yeah. Is this a piece that they were missing? The big man in the middle.
They were missing they need the piece. Yes. Yeah. Now, is Ayton the piece you want? Now, to me, this is the low risk, high reward thing. They're not paying a lot of money. I think it's $8 million a year for 2 years. I think there's a player option in year 2. I'm not a big fan of Ayton personally because of his personality, but if he can get back to the guy he was 3-4 years ago when Phoenix won 66 games and went to the finals against Milwaukee, that can go a long way. You still have LeBron at age 40, still top 15 player in the league. I mean, some even say top 10. I'm not hating on that. And I assume LeBron comes back next year, which I still think he will.
Yeah.
And then Luka, we've been saying Luka Doncic looks fantastic. He's lost a lot of weight. He's got his conditioning in order now. We'll see how that plays out, from camp on. But that 4th spot, it's interesting because the Lakers could be that 4th team. The Clippers, if they get Bradley Beal, among everything else they've done, they retain James Harden, Kawhi, hopefully he's healthy next year, and a couple of pieces there. They got John Collins in that big 3-team trade also this weekend with the Heat. They could be the 4th team also in the Western Conference. So that's that 4th spot is interesting because the Lakers and the Clippers both are, I think, battling for that thing. But if Ayton could get back to the guy he was, say, a couple years ago, and to me, Ayton's not even about ability. He's a good player. It's this. Yeah. He's not with it. He's not. It feels like basketball's not the number one priority. You know what I mean? And he complains a lot and all this stuff. So that's the part they have to really flush out with him. So, but if Ayton get back to the guy he was a couple years ago, I think this could be a very dangerous Lakers team.
Yeah, and right now I always look at the future bet for the Lakers, and right now they're still plus 1,400. Which means a $100 bet right now is going to pay back $1,500, which I think is a good bet.
It's a flyer. Just do the flyer. You know me. I say on the show all the time. I love value.
Yeah.
So go with the value.
Yeah, and that's on our marketing partner, Hard Rock Bet. More information on that, go to pbkennelclub.com/Hard Rock Bet. They have that great offer that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Right. Bet $5 to get $150, and that is offered by Seminole Tribe of Florida. Got to be 21 and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. If you're concerned about gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about today. Rebel Poker's checking in. Hope you're doing well today.
What's going on?
Also, this is something that's near and dear to Ernest. Mike Brown reportedly lands $40 million in that Knicks coaching contract, and the Knicks actually still owe Thibodeau $30 million. How are we feeling about Mike Brown?
Well, first off, I'm surprised you said that because you think I'm a Knicks fan still?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
You know I'm a Heat fan. Come on, what's going on with you?
Oh, come on. You're the New York guy.
Except basketball.
Yes,
I've been a
know.
Heat fan 36 years. So no. Look, this is another move that's. It feels like a retread. Yes. Is Mike Brown a good coach? Yes. Is he better than Tom Thibodeau? I think it's a wash at best. Both guys are pretty similar in what they've done in the league. I will say Mike Brown does have a case with someone as a coach that's been screwed a lot by other teams. Like he got fired in Cleveland after winning 2 back-to-back win seasons with LeBron. You know, he gets fired in L.A. 5 games into the post-Kobe year with the Achilles injury. You know, there's a lot of cases that Mike Brown has been underutilized in a lot of ways. You know, even Sacramento takes the Kings to the first playoff spot in 17 years, and then 2 years later he's fired. So Mike Brown's a good coach. I like to see Mike Brown and some team, hopefully the Knicks here, stick it out with him. Actually give him a chance to ride this out. Because this Knicks team, I'm sorry, going next year, there is no excuses. You see the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying win the finals, but you got to get to the finals. Next year it's do or die. You have Boston, that's compromised. Indiana's compromised. So Tatum and Halliburton both out for next year.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, we don't know how they look like this year. The Eastern Conference is really the Knicks and the Cavs, and maybe a surprise team in there. That is it. So is it a good signing? I'm not surprised. Retread, yes, but they could have done worse.
Yeah. I just want to mention, I mean, I didn't put it on the show. Everybody kind of knows. The Pacers finally came out yesterday and said Halliburton will miss the entire year.
And at this point, it's smart. You know, they even before they announced this, you saw the behavior, letting Miles Turner go, and they're just kind of, you know, they're gonna use next year, much like Boston, as a year to just reset and kind of do a slight rebuild. You know.
So what do you think is happening in Miami right now? We know you're a Miami Heat fan.
Yeah.
They let go of Duncan Robinson. They made a lot of changes to the Heat. What are they doing? Are they in like just a rebuilding stage right now?
Yeah, sort of. But they I mentioned that 3-team trade a little while ago with John Collins. You know, the Heat get Norman Powell on an expiring deal, who's a very quality player.
Yeah.
And so the Heat actually got better and didn't lose anybody really. I mean, obviously you lose Duncan Robinson last week, but I mean, he was a good player, but it is what it is with that one.
He wasn't a key player.
He wasn't a key player. He wasn't a key player, and ultimately his usage rates went down in the last couple of years. I think this Heat team. I heard Zach Lowe say on his spot, and Zach Lowe is one of the most trusted NBA guys I know in the industry. He said the Heat could be as good as a 4 seed next year because you gave Eric Spoelstra something to work with. Okay, Norman Powell is on a contract year. He's a very quality player. He was great with the Clippers. He was a fringe All-Star actually last year. And some of the numbers, some of the advanced metrics on him too also are very impressive. So you give him, along with Bam and Tyler Hero and all those quality pieces and those young pieces that are really talented guys, this Heat team can be very, very frisky next year, come 2025. And look, I'm not going to sit there and say they're going to win the East or all this stuff, but I think this could be a 45-win team, maybe more if they play cards right with this roster going forward. I think they've done well, actually. This is a good move for them.
Yeah, no, I like the moves that they're making. I mean, are they setting themselves up at some point within the next couple of years to get a big player?
Right. Well, the priority is by next summer at this time right now, they're going to have $65 million of cap space going to next summer. Okay, to sign a big name player. Now the question is, which player is that going to be? Like, there isn't any notable free agents I see right now that's hitting the market next year. So you're betting on probably a whale. Like a whale, of course, is a star. That could be frustrated and wants to get traded. Most notably, Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. I don't see Giannis getting traded this summer at this point, but I do see if Milwaukee does underwhelms again next year, I do see Giannis asking out next summer, and that's where Miami will try to pounce on that one. So they're right now the priority for the Heat right now is to be a flexible team into next year, which they have done. They got rid of some of the bad contracts, and now they're trying to just keep a team that's competitive enough to compete and be attractive for a star to come here next summer. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, their priority right now is flexibility.
Yeah.
Financial.
Now we're going to move on and talk about one of my favorite things to talk about on the show, and that's Caitlin Clark. I mean, you know, I like to talk about her. You know, it's the reason why I'm watching WNBA, if at all, and most people are. She led the WNBA in all-star votes, and she topped fan voting and ranked 3rd in the media selections. But when it came to the player votes, they voted her 9th, and that was making the rounds in the last week around all the different circles, and so many people have a big opinion on this, that the players, are hating on Caitlin Clark as they always have, devoting her essentially like the ninth best guard, and it's crazy to me that people in the WNBA, the players, are still trying to make this something where they're not fully believing that Caitlin Clark is the reason why they're making more money.
And they're telling on themselves. They are. Like, you sit and doing this. Like, the reality is she is the reason WNBA has launched in a big way in the last 2 years. And they're just telling on themselves at this point. I think it's ridiculous personally, but, it's their opinion. There's a lot of jealousy in there, and, whatever, you just own it. My thing is this. If you're going to say, just own it. At least they're owning it. You know what I mean? But it's ridiculous to think that Caitlin Clark's impact on this league has not been felt. It's we're talking about WNBA on this podcast on a regular basis, largely because of Caitlin Clark. And look, I give people like Angel Reese credit. Angel Reese has had actually a great stretch of games last month or so. She's playing very well. She has new shoe line. I think it's dropped today actually.
Yeah.
But you can argue a lot of that is also on the back of what Caitlin Clark has. The lane she's created.
Yeah.
And it's okay to acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I feel like it's okay to say Caitlin isn't the best player in the league because you got AJ Wilson, you got some players.
And I agree, AJ Wilson is the best player in the WNBA. I think you agree with that. I think I agree as well too. Sure. But Caitlin Clark is definitely at this point top 2 or 3. The impact she whether we agree she's not the best player or not right now, currently, that's one argument. But the impact is not undeniable at this point now.
Well, to me, I look at it and I say, Caitlin might not be the top player, and some people might not even put her in the top 5 right now. But to be honest with you, nobody would give the attention to all these other great players if it wasn't for Caitlin in the first place.
Oh, by the way, they're winning now. Are they the best record in WNBA right now?
Yeah, they just won the play-in tournament last week.
There you go. So what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like at this point, we're seeing the results impact teams. A team who was a bad team before she got there. Mm-hmm. So not only is she doing the whole thing where she's helping the league in terms of exposure, the team she plays on is actually now winning games now and done it in just 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm. So. And right now, the future bet on the Fever, right now, they're plus 525 to win the WNBA championship. That means if you bet $100 on them to win right now, you're going to win $625, which a team right now that showed
but they are the favorite, or they're like number 2 or 3?
Oh, no, they're like 3rd or 4th right now.
Okay.
Yeah. There's other favorites in the league. I think the Liberty are favored.
Yes.
Some of the others.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to me, at plus 525 right now, with the fact that they did win that mid – what is it? What do you call those championship things? The NBA does that too, like the President's Cup or whatever they won last week.
We don't have a – in the NBA, they don't have a actual – so the hockey has the President's Cup for the winner, best record in the regular season, of course. I forgot what they called it in the NBA. We covered it on the show last week, actually. I remember the name. I forgot the name of it, though.
Yeah. But the whatever the tournament in season tournament is that the Fever won without Caitlin Clark last week showed me that they have the capabilities in the team to win it all, even if they do have injuries. So I'm going to bet a future bet on them.
Why not? Why not? You get to argue the best, arguably, I said. Not saying she is, but arguably the best player in basketball on the team. Why not?
Yeah, plus 525. Why not? $100.
And they're winning. She's missed a couple games recently, and they're still winning without her.
They are.
So it's reverberating to the other players on the team, Sophia Cunningham and all these guys, all these women rather. It's a great story. It really is.
Well, let's take that chance and start talking about Hard Rock Bet right now. They got a great offer out right now with $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. We are marketing partners with Hard Rock Bet. That's the Seminole Tribe of Florida. And new players who sign up, deposit, and place their first cash bet of at least $5 with Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook are going to get $150 in bonus bets. Only the first placed cash bet will qualify for that promotion. Qualifying bets must have odds of negative -250 or longer, and those bonus bets are going to be split up into 6 $25 bonus bets, and those bonus bets will be loaded into accounts on bet placement. Bonus bets will expire 14 days after issuance. And if you want more information, you could always find it at ppkennelclub.com/Hard Rock Bet. And that is offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. You got to be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Again, for more information, go to our website, pbkennelclub.com/Hard Rock Bet. Okay, now we're going to start moving on to talk about some baseball.
Oh yeah.
Baseball is in full swing right now. They're almost going to midseason. Next week is the
Real quick,
All-Star break.
I got into debate with one of my players downstairs.
Okay.
Shout out to my friend Paul, of course, downstairs on table 9. He says that the dog days of baseball is in August.
Okay.
I told him I think it's both July and August.
Yeah.
Where do you stay on the debate? Do you think it's August or is it more?
I could agree. I could agree July and August. I mean,
Okay.
things have already heated up.
I guess his point was like the All-Star game is still coming up, so you have the little break, and then the launch, of course, after that into the trade deadline and all that. But I always said that the July was kind of the dog days too, also, because nothing going on really in the world. August to me, even though people say that September is the pennant time, I always felt like August was like the pre-pennant, in a sense where teams start making their moves really to push yourself for playoff spots and whatnot earlier than September. But that's my opinion.
I agree. So when it comes to MLB, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Nationals just fired their general manager on Monday, Mike Rizzo, and manager Dave Martinez amid stalled rebuild. I mean, they've been rebuilding. You were looking this up since they won the championship a few years ago.
It's crazy because like these two were also in power during the 1929 World Series team. Since that team, they won the World Series in 2019. Since that year, they won 26-34, which is a COVID year, of course, in 2020.
Yeah.
65 wins, 55 wins, and then 71-71 the last 2 years. A World Series title can only get you so much. Like you can say, oh, they won the world title. It's been 6 years, dude. This is pre-COVID. At some point, there's really nothing happening. And look, I get the NL East is tougher. The Mets are good. The Braves have been good up till this year. Obviously, the Phillies are the Phillies. The Marlins are frisky right now. They won like 10 straight road games, something like that.
Yeah.
So you can say that the environment's been tougher, but at the same time, though, there's been no improvement whatsoever. They've fallen off the cliff since this. So they didn't have to do it at this point. I get it. You hate to see people lose their jobs. You want to see them ride it out, but this national team's not going anywhere fast. So it is what it is.
I feel like it was about time.
Yeah.
I mean, they did lose so many star players, like the Bryce Harpers and the Trey Turners and the Max Scherzers and all those guys.
But they're in no. But the problem is now it's been 6 years since that. They're in no man's land. And I know it's hard to attract free agents to that team, obviously, but they got to do something. What they've done in the last 5 years is not good enough. So.
Exactly. Also, in news in baseball, the full rosters for the All-Star game have been announced, highlighting a mix of established stars and up-and-coming talent. But one name that you know very well, and we've talked on the show about, Juan Soto is not on the All-Star team. Let's talk about that.
That makes no sense. So how does a guy, and I'm not even going to be a homer here. Guys know I'm a Met fan, of course, tortured Met fan for 40 years. How is a guy that literally just won Player of the Month in the National League in June not getting the All-Star team literally a week later? That makes no sense to me at all. Makes no sense. I mean, look, he had a rough start to the year by the metrics of him being the highest paid player in baseball history. But at the same time, he's turned things around since then. It's kind of weird that the Mets, when they were playing their best baseball, he was playing like crap, and then when he starts playing great, they play like crap.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's his fault or whatever, but it's just kind of weird correlation there. But there's no way in hell that a guy that was Player of the Month of the National League, who has 20 home runs, I think, this year so far, is not on the All-Star team. Now, having said that, he will get in because there'll be players who can't make it because of injuries or whatever it may be. So he'll get in somehow, but that makes no damn sense to me whatsoever.
Well, with the All-Star game really not meaning anything, would you, as a player, would you rather take that week off and spend time with your family, go on vacation, or would you rather go to the All-Star game?
I mean, as a player, I'd rather play it, obviously, because it's a nice platform to have, obviously. As a player who's not an All-Star, I mean, I'd rather play the game, honestly. I want to compete, so.
Yeah, no, I can see some of the guys taking it off. Yesterday we had Ronald Acuna Jr. He didn't play in the game last night because of back tightness. So I could definitely see him.
He's probably not going to. Yeah, I can see him. And plus, the Braves right now in up. Right now they're struggling, so I need him to be healthy for the stretch run if they have a chance to come back in the division. Because right now you guys behind the Marlins.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my gosh!
Don't even talk about it. That's good for the Marlins. I mean,
that's
amazing.
No, great story. And maybe the Marlins, if they stay the rest of this month, competitive, maybe they're buyers at the deadline. Who knows?
Yeah. That'd be interesting. That'd be the first time in a long time we're talking about the Marlins.
Because all they do is sell.
Yeah.
So
It would be nice to be talking about the Marlins bringing somebody in instead of letting everybody
Yeah, for
go.
real.
So that would be interesting to talk about in the upcoming months. We also have the Home Run Derby that's coming up, and the Home Run Derby, out of almost all the All-Star game festivities, I mean, I do like the Slam Dunk Contest. The Slam Dunk Contest in the NBA has definitely changed over the years. You don't get
You
as
know why
much
though?
good.
There's nothing to do. What else can
Yeah.
you do? Everything has been done over cars, over trucks, over this. You know, no look dunks. What else can you do in the slam dunk? That's why I've always been a 3-point competition guy more than anything else.
Well, now you in the NBA, and we're not even talking about the NBA right now, but Mac McClung, who's a player that I've
Your boy.
followed since like middle school.
Yes.
When they were talking about him, dunking on guys.
Yeah.
He doesn't even actually play in the NBA, but he is the dunk contest champion. It's like bringing a minor league guy out to play in the home run derby, which I don't ever see that happening.
I do enjoy home run derby though. Honestly, it's actually probably one of my favorite activities, sports activities. Like obviously the 3-point contest, but after that, the home run derby for me. Pete Alonso unfortunately won't be on this time to defend his. Was he defending champion?
I thought he was.
Yeah. So I think he won't be there. Unfortunately, I don't know why. I think he said that. I think he said something to the effect of he's focusing on the Mets trying to win a World Series. So I love that.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right now the tentative lineup, I say that because Acuna is supposed to be a participant in next Monday's festivities.
Right.
But you got Ronald Acuna, the outfielder for the Braves. You got Cal Raleigh, who, what a season this guy is having. He's setting records for catchers of home runs before the All-Star break. He's like up in the mid-30s now, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I saw a video of him when he was a kid, like playing outside with his dad, acting like he was playing in the home run derby. So that's who I'm rooting for in this one, the catcher for the Mariners. You got James Wood, one of those young stars for the Nationals. He doesn't get a lot of talk, but he's a player. Byron Buxton, that's the surprise for me because playing fantasy football, baseball all these years, Byron Buxton.
Do you still play now?
I still do.
Okay.
It's like a job. It's like a part-time job.
I can't do it, dude. Like I can barely do football as is now. Although I'm probably going to make a return to fantasy football after 8 years this year. So.
I think you will. So Byron Buxton's going to be in, and that's a guy that has never been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And it's just funny sometimes, because he's a phenomenal talent, but if he could stay on the field, he'd be one of the best.
Absolutely.
And then last but not least, a person that just signed up for the home run derby yesterday, O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates. That's
my pick.
That's a big one right there.
Shout out to Lexi, of course.
Yeah,
that's my pick.
Lex is watching right now. That's her pick too. I was watching a clip of him the other day throwing somebody out from the outfield, and they say they clocked the ball at like 105 miles an hour.
Also, O'Neal Cruz, future Yankee.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
I hope that doesn't happen, though. But
100% chance he's going to be playing for the Dodgers or the Yankees at some point within the next 5 years. Him and Skeens might as well just take the same train to New York.
Can't stand it.
It's inevitably going to happen. But, that's my pick to win it all. And if we get Pat on the show, I want to ask him his pick. I'm taking Cal Raleigh. I'm taking the catcher for the Mariners. I've always, when watching him, he's got a swing that I feel like is perfect for the home run derby. I feel like he's always been one of those guys that, he's not going to get you a lot of doubles and singles. He's going to hit the ball out of the park. And I think this year that swing is paying some dividends.
Vino next week also marks, in addition to the All-Star game in a derby, is also the very week that we have nothing going on in sports, really, at least in the major sports. I mean, still WNBA going on, and I guess Wimbledon will be done by then. But this is the week where, like, I think Wednesday will be the only day there's nothing going on. Yeah. Maybe the ESPYs. That's all. I don't watch anymore.
Something like that.
But yeah, nothing going on. It's at the dead point of the week. So.
Yep. So I'm taking Cal Raleigh. That's my pick. We'll talk about the winners next week on the show. It's a shame that the genius isn't here to give his champ stamp on.
I mean, he can just text it. If he's probably watching the show, he can just text it.
I don't know if he's watching or not. I don't know if it's like this still same time zone.
He's in Vancouver, and Vancouver is on the west side of Canada, right? So
I have no idea.
I think it is on the west side of Canada. So therefore, it's not going to work. Yeah,
no
he's
idea.
Still asleep.
Exactly. He's probably at a festival or something doing something. But I'm. You got O'Neal Cruz. Cal Raleigh is who I'm taking. We're going to check in with Pat Rooney very soon.
Is that a midlife crisis, though? If you go to festivals in your 50s, is that a midlife crisis?
It could be.
I guess.
I mean, he didn't buy a motorcycle or get a bunch of tattoos or anything, so not yet.
Wouldn't surprise me he does it, but.
Yeah, we'll see. But what else are we going to talk about in the MLB? The Buccos, the Pirates, actually are setting records in Pittsburgh. They just came off an incredible homestand. They swept both the New York Mets, you remember that, right? And the St. Louis Cardinals at PNC Park. They scored 43 runs over 6 games, including 9 runs twice, and a season-high 12 runs versus the Mets on the 29th, and then 13 runs versus the Cardinals, and they only allowed 4 runs versus the Mets and none versus the Cardinals, outscoring their opponents 43-4. That marked the most runs scored over a 6-game span, less than 5 runs allowed in MLB history.
They've lost 5 games in a row. They're last place in the Central. They're 17 back of the first in the division. What does it all mean, really? I mean, I root for the Pirates. I want them to do well, but they're still not good. That's why I'm pissed off that we got swept by them. And what was it, 32-4? The final score, the final run totals between the 3 games.
43-4.
Yes. Thanks for the reminder.
And then exactly what you're talking about, what they did was the Pirates then made history by becoming the first MLB team ever shut out another team over a 3-game series, and then followed that up with their opponent shutting them out in another 3-game series.
Typical Pittsburgh baseball. What can I tell you? It is what it is, man.
They're setting good records and bad records.
They got talent there, man. Obviously, but you just got to say the turn things around. So.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a Pirates fan, but not after that series, their last series.
Yeah,
but also last night, before we get them on the show, the Giants walked off the Phillies with an inside-the-park home run from Patrick Bailey last night, the catcher.
As a Met fan, I need that because, again, now we're tied in division again. The Phillies and the Mets are now battling out first place for the division. So,
that is the first walk-off inside-the-park home run by a catcher in 99 years.
That's crazy.
So congrats to
99 years.
99 years it's been since.
Was no one alive for that? No, never mind.
No, he probably was. We are actually going to check in with our special guest now.
Oh,
and
he's
that
here?
is Pat Rooney. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good, boys. How are you?
I'm doing great. Before we start talking about the NFL and talking about all the happenings there, who is your winner of the Home Run Derby, which is going to happen next week? We got Acuna, we got Cal Raleigh, James Wood, Byron Buxton, or O'Neal Cruz?
I kind of like James Wood. I don't know a lot about him, but from what I've seen, he definitely seems to have some buzz around him. Those other guys are good players. But I'm going to go with him as, I don't even know if it's a dark horse, but I just think he's got the buzz this year, young guy, and I think he can handle the pressure of being in the Home Run Derby, so I'm going to take him.
Were you watching last night when the Giants catcher walked off the Phillies with that inside-the-park home run, Pat?
Can you say yes?
Mike, thank God it's late at night and I couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
But the Oracle Park has been a personal house of horrors for the Phillies. I think they've lost 18 of 21 there, maybe 19 of 22 there. So they do not play well there. They never have, or at least they haven't in the last 4 or 5 years. So anything bad that can happen there, I completely expect. Just as you mentioned, a catcher, 99 years since a catcher hit a walk-off, home run. So that kind of stuff just falls in line with, as I mentioned, the house of horrors that place is for them.
Yeah.
But my one son, Anthony, actually said something to me that sort of resonated about this Phillies team, which I can't stand. They're impossible to watch. They're impossible to like. They are the worst clutch hitting team I've ever seen. If you got a guy on second and third and they got no outs, the Phillies are even money that they ain't getting a run out of that. But with all that said, what he said to me was they're a 7-game team. They play great for 7 games, and then they go in the tank for 7 games. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. It's like they've had these little mini streaks where they do really well. Generally, they beat teams they should beat, like the Nationals or the Pirates or the Rockies or somebody like that. But then when they play teams like this, it's like they don't hit. They get 1 hit. They get 1 run. They don't hit with anybody on base, or the bullpen explodes. It's just so formulaic and scripted. You do not have to watch these games. Now, I guess they got a game tonight with this team. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they score 1 run and they get beat like 2-1 or 3-1 or something horrendous where the starting pitching pitches well, and then the bullpen blows it, or they have bases loaded and nobody out in the ninth and they don't score. So it's watching the same thing over and over. I'm telling you guys right now, I don't care if they win the division or make it as a wild card, they are not doing anything in the playoffs. Whoever they play in the first round, they're going to get beat, and everybody like, well, they're very similar to the Steelers. It's like, we're going to run it back. We're running back the same team that last year collapsed. And when you do that, nothing's going to happen. You got to add players. You got to find somebody. You got to get rid of some guys. I mean, I know they got a lot of guys up for their contract. Castellanos, Realmuto, Schwarber. These guys are all up for contracts. So
it does feel like this year could be a big crossroad for the Phillies, because they've had this team together for the last couple of years. Went to World Series a couple of years ago. They've been in the NLCS, but last couple of years they slipped a little bit. NLCS one year, then they go to second round against us last year. So this is a big year for the Phillies. They may break this team up if they don't do anything.
They should. They should. I'm telling you right now, Ernest, they should have done it this year. I know they had too many contractual obligations, and you just can't get rid of guys. But after last year and that debacle, just again petering out against the Mets and being embarrassed, you can't just keep running back the same thing. I don't care how good you think the players are or whatever. There's something about team chemistry, and when you're running back the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result or worse. Yeah. So that's right. This team is so, as I said, if you're a Phillies fan, this team is so frustrating to watch, because they, like Zach Wheeler, they really have some good starting pitching, and they have a couple good guys that are hitting that can hit. But all in all, they're just beyond frustrating, because again, that thing up 3-1, you're like, and Thompson's rolling the dice with Romano, who just doesn't have it, especially if you got to pitch him more than one inning. You can see this coming, and it's so frustrating.
I will say it's not Steelers mediocre. At least this team is first place. Well, tied with us first place in the division. The Steelers are they're mediocre. The Phillies are not mediocre. They just can't win big games in big moments. That's all.
I give in a way, I give them a lot of credit for being in first, or at least being close, because again, if you've watched them the whole year, they should be way out in front. They've blown so many games, and just maddening, frustrating after again, if you win 5 or 6 in a row, you're like, all right, now they're really on a streak. They're going to win like 15 of the next 16 and really cause some separation. No, then they do this. They go against San Francisco, who's a good team. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But completely predictable, like 1 run, 5 hits, 4 hits, 1 run. Yeah, it's just so frustrating.
I will say they'll be a team I'll be watching this couple weeks close to the trade deadline. See if they make any moves.
Top running backs in the NFL, and who else on top but Saquon Barkley.
Easy.
This is the list. The top 10 is Saquon, Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, who dropped obviously to the 5th place because of injuries, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Joe Mixon, and Alvin Kamara. Is anybody anywhere close to Saquon, Pat?
No, not right now. I mean, Derrick Henry is a phenomenal player, and the only issue I have with him is he's getting old, and I don't know how much longer he can stay at this elite level. Running backs generally only make it 4 or 5 years at the most, and Derrick's into his 30s now, so it's going to be tough for him to stay up there. Saquon's still relatively young, and can what I would say dominate probably for the next 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 years before he starts hitting that wall. The rest of those guys are all good players. None of them. I like Jahmyr Gibbs with Detroit. I think he's a real good player. Bijan, good guy with Atlanta, but I need to see more out of him. And the rest of those guys are kind of getting, like Joe Mixon, and those guys are getting older as well. So I don't have a real issue with that list. And I think, like you said, I think Saquon is head and shoulders above anybody else on there, with the exception of Derrick Henry, with also the note that Derrick should be taking a step down here at some point, unless he's taking something that should be banned by the league.
Yeah, it's Saquon with a bullet. And in fact, I'll go so far to say this much right now. Based on his situation, too, on top of playing with Philadelphia and that team they have there, we could be talking about Saquon Barkley in an all-time discussion in the next 2-3 years, because this kid is incredible. In terms of the prototype, I said it's coming out of college. To me, he is his prototype has greatest all time
Hmm.
to him, and now you're starting to see that now him playing on a great team, what he can do for a great team like Philadelphia, who just won a Super Bowl by the way a couple months ago. So I think Saquon with a bullet, and I agree with Pat here. Derrick Henry is number 2, but should we take a step back because of course the age?
Yeah.
But I think Saquon will be in an all time discussion in about 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Now we're going to move on. What we're going to do each week leading up to the NFL season, we're going to talk about one of the divisions, and today we're going to talk about the AFC East. So with the AFC East, you got the Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and New York Jets. Last year, obviously, the Buffalo Bills won that division with ease, 13-4. The Dolphins went 8-9. The Jets were 5-12, and the Patriots were 4-13. What's the over/under this year?
They clinched that before Thanksgiving last year. That's how dominant they were last year in that division. Over-under for the Bills was the Bills.
Yeah,
11.5.
11.5. What about the Dolphins?
The Dolphins, I would have 8.5.
Okay, and then the Jets?
The Jets are 8.5 as well. No, the Jets are 5.5.
5.5. And this is the surprising one.
The Patriots are 8.5, which I don't understand where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, no, I think we would all agree that the Buffalo Bills are winning that division. What are you looking forward to in the AFC East, Pat?
Yeah, I think Buffalo's maybe getting towards the tail end of what I would say is their run, but they're still the dominant force in that division. Josh Allen, again, it's a quarterback league.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen is head and shoulders above anybody in that division. Tua is a good quarterback, but again, too injury prone. Derek May, the kid in New England. I mean, I got to see much more out of him before I'm going to say they're going to win 8 games. I like Vrabel, and I think New England's going to be much improved. But to say that they're potentially going to win 8 or 9 games with relatively a new quarterback and a new coach is a tough gauge for me. I think they're still in that 5 to 6 to 7 win area, and I would consider that an improvement. The Jets are one of those. Justin Fields, I thought was a good player for us, but I just don't think he's a big difference maker. And again, quarterback league. The rest of that Jets team is still relatively solid, offense and defensively. They got some really good players there, but because it's a quarterback league, I think they're going to have trouble breaking 500 as well. So Buffalo should have no issue being, probably 5-1 in that division. And I'm looking for them to win at least 12 games this year. Again, unless they just get bored or injury prone or something happens to Josh Allen, that team should easily win that division again.
Yeah, that I agree with though. However, I look at the Buffalo schedule, and they obviously play the division. Obviously, they should go no worse than 5-1 in the division this year. But then you have for the record, AFC East is playing the AFC North this year, as well as the who was it there? No, I'm sorry, the AFC. Oh, did I get it wrong here? Yeah, they play AFC North. That's right, and I think the NFC South next year. So they have the Bills' schedules is they still got you play the champs this year at home. The Bucks come to town as well too. Also, the Chiefs are coming to town as well. The Bengals, of course. Your away games that stand out are the Texans. You have frisky Panthers, frisky Falcons. I might take the under on that. That's on the Bills on 11 and a half.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 11-6 because the schedule's tough. But they're winning the division with relative ease because they're just least better than Miami and all that. Now, as for the other 3 teams here, I think the Dolphins are in a weird spot here because I think the Dolphins are going to be one of the surprises of the year for me. If they are healthy, if Tua's healthy, they have weapons to do it. The defense, at least on paper, looks better than it was last year. I think they'll go over 8.5 wins. Now, how far that goes beyond that, we'll see. The Patriots, I don't understand that situation. Are they expecting Drake May to have a massive bounce this year? I don't know. He's a solid quarterback. He had moments last year. I just don't see it, man. And that schedule too is not that. It's tough also too. So I'm gonna go under on the Patriots at 8.5, and then the Jets. They have Justin Fields, of course, and they got talent there. They still have relatively the same amount of talent they had with Aaron Rodgers, but this can get the job done. But 5.5 wins, and I mean, you're asking for a lot. The AFC rather, is tough in general. And the schedule, of course, like I said, I'll still take it under. They'll be 5-12 probably at tops.
Yep. So next week on the show, we're going to talk about the NFC East and do a little preview.
Oh
of
God.
them. So that should be quite interesting.
That should be very interesting.
Now let's move on to one of Pat's teams, the Florida Panthers, who have 10 players: Barkov, Kachuk, Reinhardt, Bennett, Verhey, Lundell, Marchand, plus defenseman Aaron Ekblad, Forsling, and Seth Jones, all signed through at least the 2029-30 season. Pat, in your opinion, you go to a lot of these Panther games. You follow this team very closely. Is this a team that could put together a streak of championships and end up one of the dynasty teams in hockey?
Well, you know how I said I can't stand the Phillies, and I obviously have some issues with the Steelers. My teams. This is the opposite. I love this team. I love what Bill Zito. I don't know how he is not the GM of the year for the last couple of years.
We got the
I think
writers.
that's an abomination. For him to get these guys signed, in a lot of cases, taking a fairly steep discount to sign with the team. And I know being on a champion is worth something and all that, but again, these guys are professionals. They're playing for money. That's why they're playing the sport. So to get them to accept less money to be part of a championship team is a direct credit to Zito and that front office to continue to put these guys together. To answer your question, absolutely. Barring injury, which can happen to several of the key guys, this team has no reason why they can't go on a nice 2 or 3 or 4 more year run of winning Stanley Cups. Now, Bobrovsky is getting older, and much like in the NFL, where the quarterback is key, the goalie is key in hockey. You saw it with Edmonton. Edmonton has a really, really good team, but their goaltenders, both of them, are okay. They're okay to good, but not great. And that prevents you, in a lot of cases, from winning the Stanley Cup. When you go through all the teams and you get to the cream of the crop, which the Panthers are, you got to have a good goalie. You got to have a really good goalie to win a Stanley Cup. And Bobrovsky's that guy. Now, he's going to be a free agent next year. He's really the only free agent they got next year. And he's getting up there. He's 36 or 37. Can you get a couple more years out of him? Maybe. But I don't know what they're going to want to sign him for. They're probably not going to want to sign him for 5 or 6 years or something like that because he's just going to be too old. And they don't really have anybody. They traded their goalie, the second string goalie, to get Seth Jones. So they don't really have anybody in the chute. They lost their backup goalie in free agency, which wasn't a big deal. He wasn't that good anyway. And they're bringing a new guy in from Columbus, and they're drafted a couple guys and all that. That's the only question mark, Mike, in my opinion, whether this Panther team can go on a 2 or 3 or 4 more year run of Stanley Cups is they got to get that goalie situation squared away after next year. So they got at least 1 more year of Bobrovsky, and he'll probably still be at a high level then. But they got to figure this out after next year because they have, like you mentioned, that core group of guys, and a lot of them are under the age of 32. So they can absolutely continue to play for another 4 or 5 years at a very high level. But it's a big but. You got to get a goalie in there.
Yeah.
And that's really my only question. But I love the Florida Panthers. I love Zito. I love the fact that he's given up like all their draft picks because they know that they got a core group of winners here. And he's smart. I'd love to bring him to like the Steelers or the Phillies and be like, I know these aren't your sports, but what do you think? What do you think they need to do here? Because he knows how to keep a winner together. And if you're a Panther fan, man, you ought to be jumping out of your skin because this team should hit the ice running next year, skating, ready to go. I love Brad Marchand. I just love the whole makeup of this team. Like they're all winners. They all want to do whatever necessary to win. And as a fan, that's all you can ask.
So you said sports. The question was sports history.
Yeah.
So what are we measuring? 60s Celtics.
Yeah.
Measuring Lakers in the 80s, Niners in the 80s. The Cowboys in the 90s. So how many championships? How many titles do they need to get before we consider a dynasty? Then you also got to measure the fact that we're playing in an era of movement. So is 2 enough? Because Noah said a couple weeks ago that two titles in 3 years is considered a dynasty. I tend to disagree somewhat, but is the case right now based on the era we're playing in now, of free agency and whatnot?
Yeah.
But they're in position to do it, definitely. I mean, the one thing, and I'm glad Pat brought it up, was Bobrovsky's age. Because, again, like a quarterback, goalie is the most important player on the team. And that's going to be the situation where if you can squeeze out another 2-3 years out of him at a relatively high level, then yes, I can see that. I think the greatest dynasty we've seen in hockey right now is what, the Oilers in the 80s? 4.
Like Bonner was saying, the Islanders,
Oilers. Yeah.
Oilers, yeah.
Have you seen that? I think it's very possible to keep the same team around. But, again, it's harder. And I also worry about wear and tear, too, also. Because one of the things people forget about these – in all these sports, is when you're playing into June with a smaller and a shorter off season, those stuff creep up on you also too. It's hard. I saw the Heat go through that with LeBron and Wade in the 4 years here. They went to the finals every year together, but you saw the wear and tear at the end. Yeah. So that's something you need to equate for too as well. But I think that plus the Bob part of his age and whatnot, and how they handle that situation in the next couple of years, that will dictate that. But are they in position to do this? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They remember they've gone to 3 already. They won 2 in a row. They went to 1.
Yes,
and lost it. So again, they're already on the way right now.
Yeah, no, we mentioned this on the show, and Pat said the same thing. Being a Panthers fan, you got to be head over heels because this is a team that just seems to do everything right.
It's finally, I've been in this market for 35 years, and the Heat have dominated this market for 30 years. It is nice to see something fresh for once.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is a hockey town now. That's for sure.
It really is, and it's reverberating. You're seeing more people interested in the sport now. Obviously, the front runners, whatever. It is what it is. That's how sports is developed anyway. But it's good to see something fresh in this town.
Yep. Pat, are we excited at all about Wimbledon? Wimbledon is going on right now. We're on I think the last week of Wimbledon. For the first time in the history of Wimbledon, electronic line calling systems have replaced line judges. And this has been a source of recent controversy in the circles of tennis. How do we feel about what's going on right now in the sport?
Well, didn't the line thing miss one of the calls already?
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, it did. Wow.
I think that's the problem. Not that you're just going to have mistakes almost in everything, but the problem when you go to like an automated strike zone or anything is that has to be kind of right all the time. That's why you're doing it. You're taking the human element out because you want the calls to be correct. So if I'm a tennis player and the stupid line machine gets one wrong, then you're like, all right, well, I don't know if I can believe it or not. Now, again, I'm assuming that's an extremely rare situation. I've always liked Wimbledon. I generally, I'm not a huge tennis fan, but I always used to like watching the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, not as much with the French and the Australian. But those 2 tournaments, especially in the days of McEnroe and Bjorg and all those guys that were, Jimmy Connors. Now I'm really going back, but those to me, that's when tennis was like fun to watch because you didn't know when these guys were going to blow up or whatever. And over the years, pretty much since Agassi and Sampras left, especially from an American standpoint, it's been Djokovic and the guy.
Yeah.
It's been those same like 3 guys. And you're just like, none of them are really move the needle for me. So they're great players. But, for the most part, they're baseliners, and, it's just not a super, super exciting form of tennis for me. But now at least you have this Fritz kid, and you got Sheldon, and, so you got some young Americans that are in there now, and maybe they'll add some flavor, at least on the men's side. Maybe they'll get some interest from Americans back into it. But so to answer your one question on the automated line thing, they got to make sure that those things are correct. Yeah. Otherwise, people are going to lose confidence in them very quickly. But in tennis overall, I like Wimbledon despite the time difference and all that. But for me, being American-centric, unless some American men really start getting in there and are able to start dominating again, it's just sort of like, all right, I might watch whoever the men's final is. But, the problem is you can say, all right, who won the men's final last year? I don't know. Who won the women's final last year? I don't know. They're usually somebody from a Eastern European country that you never heard of. So that's the tough part.
A lot of that was the fact that it was so inundated with content left and right that a lot of these sports outside of the big 4, we call it, gets lost by the wayside. Golf included also too. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Wimbledon. I've actually gotten back. I was a big fan of tennis growing up as a kid, so I've been enjoying what I've been able to watch, of course, in these matchups. But like the thing with the line, the system, whatever. This is the problem when you don't have human elements anymore, because now you expect there's zero wiggle room. You get it right or you get it wrong. If you get it wrong one time, it's bad enough. At least with human error, there's a little bit of wiggle room. Like, I screwed up. I get it. You're a human being. No big deal. So. But yeah, I'm actually rooting for Sabalenka to win the whole thing, though. For the women's side, honestly.
No, I was surprised to read this statistic because I searched like, hey, is tennis kind of fallen off? And actually, U.S. tennis participation surged to a new high of 25.7 million players following 5 consecutive years of growth. 1 in every 12 Americans played tennis in 2024, and that is the highest proportion on record.
Can I argue that pickleball might have a direct effect to that?
That's what people were saying, but tennis is still number one.
No, right. No,
yeah,
I agree with that because
course,
it's more popular. But the pickleball surge may actually have a offset effect to tennis because it's similar games in the sense it's different things.
I think as you get older, then pickleball is probably more your speed.
Right.
But I find that to be such an interesting statistic that tennis is at some point more popular than it ever has been in this country. Even though, like Pat said, with the exception of Coco Gauff and a few others, we don't really have a lot of people that we're following, especially since the Williams sisters have retired. So now we're going to go into our sports bets of the week. I know Pat had mentioned the Phillies. Any other sports bets we have this week, Pat?
Well, there's not. Unfortunately, July is not a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've mentioned that. You got the British Open, or as they call it, the Open. I don't want to offend anybody from, across the pond there, but so you got the British Open and golf coming up. But otherwise, it's pretty much just baseball. So my whole thing is bet whatever you've got on the Giants winning today. The Phillies,
nice.
And if there's an over/under, the Phillies scoring 2 runs, take the under.
Whoa!
Those are my bets.
I love
no wiggle room whatsoever.
One
run, that's it.
Yeah, I put together a little parlay with Wimbledon, with also the World Cup going on too. If you bet it right now, it would be Carlos Alcaraz to win Wimbledon, Arena Sabalenka to win on the women's side, Real Madrid over PSG. They're paying today at 3:00.
Okay,
that's going to be a big matchup right there. And then Indiana Fever tonight to beat the Valkyries. That is plus 1,003. If you bet $25, you win $275. And I already mentioned earlier, I would do future bets on the LA Lakers at plus 1,400 and the Fever right now at plus 525.
I'm staring at the AFC East right now and their futures. Obviously, Bills have your favorite minus 260. But they got the Pats ahead of the Dolphins. The Pats are plus 500 and the Dolphins are plus 650. Again, I don't say the Pats love here going into the year. On a flyer, because you guys know I love value, give me the Dolphins plus 650 win the division. Just for fun.
I like it. We also got to talk real fast. July high hands going on right now. July 100K is coming on this weekend, Thursday through Sunday. And don't forget about the $10 poker party, which comes up July 25th. That's the best time for new players to play some poker here at PBKC. Pat, what are your final thoughts and what are we looking forward to this week?
I mean, as we just mentioned, it's kind of, we're just getting so close now to football that we can touch it. Like we're getting there. It's like just college will be around and the NFL training camps and stuff are going to start here pretty soon. So it's like that. You're a salivating dog. Like you're just so close. But I don't know. There's still one golf tournament left. I think the PGA Tour. Golf in general has just made the mistake of moving the PGA Championship. It should go back to August. That at least kept some interest in golf because once the British Open is over, golf really, until the FedEx Cup, which is kind of a manufactured end of season excitement. But I'll give them credit. At least you'll watch some of those events. But man, there's a ton of events in August in golf now that just are not very exciting. So enjoy the British Open. While we got it, because that's kind of the end of it for golf for me.
Yeah.
And like you said, then you just got baseball, and I hate to sound like a Debbie Downer, but until football really gets cranking here in another month or so, just not much happening. A lot of sitting by the pool and waiting for college.
Exactly.
No. I mean, obviously, the Mets being good this year has kept me engaged. But I'll tell you what, the conversations here at work, especially too on breaks now with football, I typically don't really. I wait till August to get into it, really, but some of these conversations about all-time this, all-time that has got me juiced up for football now, so that's what right now I'm looking forward to football now.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a lot this week, final of Wimbledon and everything going on, but we're going to catch you next week right here on PBKC Picks, 10 a.m. right here in West Palm Beach, Florida. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, Jake. See you guys.
Good job, Pat.
PBKC is your
Take it easy.
entertainment
You got it, man.
destination for poker, table games, OTB, Paddock Live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock Restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today. Stars, Stripes, and Stacks High Hands in July at PBKC. Now every 15 minutes, 9 a.m. to midnight. $15,000 cash giveaway on July 26th. Also, this month, our July Progressive High Hand Weekends with a $100,000 bonus giveaway. Win extra cash for qualifying hands. Miss it today, win more tomorrow. Visit the Poker Room for complete rules.